boys are here. Kalen is beside me. Chad is underneath me. I have to look
Just
at that screen to see because like this screen is way different. Boys, how we feeling? How's the week? Kalen, have your nuts fallen out of your stomach yet?
Yeah, absolutely. I told we haven't put the video yet, right? But I told Chad, man, like the most painful thing in that whole thing experience was like my bones and my shins. I felt them vibrating from being so cold that like my muscles hurt, man.
Yeah, and I guess I kind of did it again, and we're gonna like that was kind of a teaser to the video, and that'll probably drop at some point this week or next week. But we put Kalen through his punishment, so watch out for that one. I couldn't make it, Liam couldn't make it, but who could make it was Chad. Chad, how was it live? Because it looked like it was rough on video. The wind
honestly,
was ripping.
it was like one of the funniest things I've ever seen. And like when he tried to come out of the water. You know when like you want to scream?
Yeah.
But everything, like his brain shut off from shock, but his body was still working. But like the communication from the brain to his mouth to like the rest of his body's doing this, but no noise is coming out. Probably for like 7 or 8 seconds. And then like you think he's calmed down, but then like the voice reached and reacted to what the rest of the body was doing 10 seconds ago. It was like he had an out of body experience, and it's one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
Yeah, I can't wait for that to drop.
All I said was, in the words of Shake Lager, is I'm going to enjoy the win. Because that could have been me.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll prelude here for you guys. When I come out of the water, I'm trying to tell these guys that my sandals are about to get washed away, but I can't get the words out. That's why you see me running to try and grab them. It's because I couldn't get the words out to tell them what I wanted to say. That's why I can't say the words. They just wouldn't come out, man.
And that's I'm not even sure if that's going to be like if that's edited part of the like I saw the uncut version and I hope that part's in there because I can kind of see one almost washing away and that was fantastic.
Dip my friggin' foot back in that cold water again, man. It was brutal.
Yeah, I was not going to save that sandal.
Yeah, and look, when that comes out, it's going to be electric. A couple people already jumped on to say hello. Of course, we're saying hello to the great state of Oklahoma. And what's up to Courtney just popped on. And Chad already said it, but I'm going to reiterate it. Because Chad and I won, him and I are enjoying the win right now. And that's what our friends over at Shake Lager do. And on a nice snowy day like today, you could enjoy a Bangarang. But today, I was looking for a light-bodied lager, and I'm going to enjoy my Shake Lager.
A little, I know we were talking a lot of football today, boys, but a little bit before we get into that, did you see Texas Tech beat Texas in baseball the other day? Only because Oklahoma's on here, and Oklahoma's going to love here whenever Texas loses, right? But, Texas, great baseball program. Texas Tech is really up and coming. Texas Tech steals home base in the 10th inning to win the game. The pitcher had his face down as he was getting into his pitch, and his brim was completely blocking the view to third base. And I got stolen. So
how the fuck do you let someone steal?
Man, right? Exactly. And it's Texas Tech too. Like at home, you let them let that happen, man. That's terrible.
Yeah.
So.
Like Chan, you were a pitcher when you played baseball. Like what would you have done? Like if someone tried to steal, would you just peg them with the ball the second they got up?
So it's on a bunch of different people. So like realistically, everyone blames the pitcher. And I mean, obviously we're not really a baseball show, but I'll break down what should have happened. So the catcher should have stood up immediately. And the third baseman and shortstop should be yelling to you to get your attention. Because like anybody that's seen Bull Durham, and Kalen knows how I feel about Bull Durham. When you're pitching, you are literally trying to breathe through your eyes. You're just calming yourself down to a point that you know you're gonna throw that little fucking rock into the guy's mitt on the other side. So everybody else around you has to make you aware if something's happening. Because once you get in the zone, your head is down a little bit. And then when you go up, you're kind of fucked. You have to follow through. But if this guy caught the entire infield and the catcher sleeping, obviously the pitcher's going to take all the heat for it, but I'm going to put it on the other guys. And I'm actually glad you brought that one up, Kalen, because I didn't know if you followed any of the baseball.
Yeah, it was crazy. And the catcher did jump up. It was he jumped up ready to make the reaction, and nothing happened. And then he looked down the third base line, and like he can only watch the player walk in at this point, right?
So like when he jumped up and made the action, was it like kind of when you came out of the water? Like the fish just couldn't come out? Like the body was talking, but nothing else was.
That's right. It's exactly what it looked like. Yeah.
No, quick question, because we're gonna get into this, and everything for us always leads back to football. Now, do you think that the catcher was more surprised, or do you think that the Miami Dolphins or Kansas City Chiefs fans were more surprised about this Tyreek Hill deal? That seemed like it was a rumor,
Yeah.
and then it was like instantly like, okay, this is fucking done. Like, what just happened in the wildest offseason of all time?
Man, I don't know if you follow or if you watch him at all. He's an absolute dick. But like Nick Wright, you watch him at all?
Never heard of him.
Oh, he's on ESPN. And anyway, he's a huge Kansas City fan, huge homer. And this guy was coping so hard the following day trying to talk up MVS, like Valdez Scantling, right? Like, come on, what are you going to try and sell the national sports market, Nick? Right? After you've been pumping Tyreek's tires for the last 5 years, there's nothing that can come good out of this, man. Come on.
Well, so what does this mean for? I mean, we'll start with Miami, because I guess Miami's the big winner in all of this. So, what does this mean for Miami? Because obviously, you have now one of, if not the fastest receiver. Mm-hmm. You have Waddle, who they were still able to get the ball to over 100 times last year. You got Gesicki there still.
Mm-hmm.
They picked up a running back, and his name is escaping.
Right?
Okay, yeah, his name's escaping me at the moment. Yeah, so if it's the offense seems like it's got its figured out. They got a new left tackle. Now, the big question on everybody's mind is, does it matter how open you are if your quarterback can't throw you the ball?
Well, Waddle had a good year, right? If you just if you just got a couple of guys doing slants and drags all day long and letting them get yak yardage, right?
55 of his catches were little pop passes behind the line of scrimmage.
And I think that's what we're going to see is a lot of.
If that's what Kansas City fucking does.
We got a Miami fan on here. She likes Tua, so we're in trouble.
Now that being said,
sounds depressing.
I think it's pretty funny that players, like when the trade goes down, that Laramie Tunsil comes out and says, I just still keep giving to them, like talking about the Dolphins because that was part of the trade. And, after he gets signed to or traded to the Miami, they restructure his contract, give him an extension. And part of that was Xavier Howard taking a restructure. And, he put up a tweet saying, me restructuring my contract just so Hill can burn me every day in practice with a clown emoji. It's funny that guys are having some fun times with it. Man, their offense is going to be, this is the thing, they have no excuses anymore. Right, like their defense was what won some of their games. I've been hype on their defense for the last 2 years. Now their coach, their defensive-minded coach, is leaving, and they brought him this. We keep joking he's young. He looks young, but he's not really that young. But offensive-minded coach himself. So the defense is really going to have to step up here because I think that the offense. I mean, who are you going to account for? Right, I think there's too many players on that team right now. Speed on every and Mostert another one just speed.
Right, and so I think it was Byron Jones that said it, not Howard. But
what's that? Byron
do you think that Byron Jones was trying to be Will Smith when he said it? Or do you think something like that crossed his mind that he wanted? I mean, I'm not sure if we're going to say, Liam's not around to say if we're allowed to say that word or not, but it rhymes with duck. I know that. So do you think he was trying to avoid being a duck?
No. I mean, he had to. It's funny that's what had to happen. He was one of the only players, right? And I mean, that was a contract that made sense to restructure, and just keep in line. I mean, there's some good things happening in Miami right now.
Yeah,
I honestly think these moves are made so they can put Tua out the door.
Okay,
you put the weapons in place. Think about it. I'm sorry, is it Michael or McDaniel, the coach's name? I fucked this up.
McDaniel.
He comes in. Tua's not his guy. He has zero ties to him. The GM kept him around though when no one else wanted him. They kept trying to bring in Deshaun, did not happen. It's like sick. We're gonna bring in all these pieces then, because if we don't succeed, it is on you.
Right.
And that way, when I ship you out the door or I cut you and we draft somebody, the whole fan base, they're happy with us. We're good with us because they know that you're the fucking problem. It makes sense to me. If you're quarterback who you're on the fence about, put everything around them, just like how they did in Cleveland. Exact same thing happened to fucking Baker.
Yeah.
And I think they're probably at the same level. You put all these pieces around them to win and succeed and be a great offense.
Right.
Well, fuck. They didn't get it done in Cleveland. And now look where they're at. Now, if this doesn't happen in Miami, exact same thing's going to happen. And Miami fans, if you love Tua, I'm sorry, that's on you. But they're trying to find a way to push him out the door. And this is the easiest way to do it. It's such a political way to do it because it shows that you're trying to win.
Yeah, and like probably the best way to get to turn into a better quarterback is to have him throwing right-handed, but that's probably not something you can learn at this age, I guess. But yeah, like from what Chad's saying, like another thing, and then I'll let you go, Kalen. Do these moves have anything to do with all the accusations that have been made against the Dolphins for paying coaches to lose games? And I'll sit back and listen.
I mean, the accusations are what they are. I think at this point they've got a new coach. They've invested. They got a good offense. Even before they added Tyreek Hill, they had an okay offense. I think that I don't think it has anything to do with them having to play catch up or to make good in the public eye. I just think that there was some things that were available to them right now. They got a Jets organization in their division that was willing to try and chase this player as well. And you got to make sure that the players or the teams in your division aren't getting any stronger. What good way than to block a trade going to New York and take him, put him on your team, right?
Yeah, and it's fair. And look, I mean, are the Dolphins going to be a formidable competitor for the Patriots and obviously the Bills, who are still the top team in that division? Absolutely. Are the Jets going to be fourth place every year? Absolutely.
So I don't know. They're scary. They're one of those dark horse teams.
Taxes and the Jets, nothing changes.
Yeah, I agree. And you know what? We have a little bit of Jets talk to talk about in the second half of the show that I know my man Kalen's definitely looking forward. Hey, don't jump the gun, Kalen.
No, that's fine. I want to come back though to Mike McDaniel and him pushing Tua out there. I want to counter that. I think that if there's a coach right now that is built that can actually bring out Tua, think about what he's coming from. They had to almost look like dumb down the offense to make Jimmy Garoppolo efficient in it, and they were able to successfully do that. Jimmy's still a wanted quarterback in the trade market goes. They're going to be able to fetch it. Hey, is he going to be able to fetch more for Jimmy than they did for a player like Carson Wentz? This is still a player who's a lame duck quarterback. They know who's got a first-round pick right behind him.
There's no way that the 49ers will get more than the Colts got for Wentz. No chance.
We'll sit on that. So anyway, coming back to, again, dumbing down the offense for Jimmy Garoppolo, and they've been able to successfully do that. But then also, in the position that he was in, he was probably coddling a little bit Trey Lance and building an offense around a young quarterback in Trey Lance to a specific skill set, which now, again, allows him, and that was forecasting forward. Like, what's the offense going to be if Trey has to come onto the field? Or in the future, what's it going to look like? And now he can bring that to Tua. I think he's got like a two-headed or a two-way ability to look at Tua and be able to build him out. So I think he's a good coach to have there. I think that Miami is going to do well. I don't think that Tua is done yet, man. Especially, again, they can do dink and dump. Listen, we've seen Tyreek Hill take a 5-yard pass and turn it into a 75-yard play just like that. How many games in a season? That's not a lot to ask for out of a quarterback to pass it 5 or 8 yards, let the wide receiver do the work after.
No, and I get that. I'm just saying, if things don't go as planned, I don't think they're going to sue her. I think they're going to be a good football team. I think they're going to be an improved football team. But if they don't see the strides that they expect from Tua, then yeah, I think you have to move on from him.
Yeah, so this would be he's going into year 3, correct?
Yeah, so you have to pick your extension after this year. So it's a perfect time to bring these pieces in.
Yeah.
Because you're bringing them back for year 4 regardless. Whether you draft somebody now and they end up starting over him, or you go after a free agent, you have Tua for one more year for pretty much next to nothing. So he can sit there one more time. At least you know what you have and what you have to work towards. Because if you can't score with these guys on the field, it's not going to happen with anybody.
Right. And the flip side, the team that is losing Tyreek Hill, I would have my own theory on it because you guys know how I feel about the circus offense. But does this really have a huge impact on Patrick Mahomes?
100%.
I know that they're AFC West foes, but there was a number of players that were tweeting out about how we're going to see some real people get exposed here. This is going to really show people who somebody really is. And I don't know if that was in reference to Tyreek Hill going to Miami and being out of the Kansas City offense more, or if it was more about the fact that now who is Mahomes going to lean on? Because I don't. Pringle put up a picture. Miko Hardman put up a picture right after the trade happened, and it was the starting wide receivers from last year. He's the only one left. And you got Kelsey, of course, right? And now Kelsey's on the other side of 30. Lots of things can happen to players of that age. This is really, we're going to see what Patrick Mahomes is made of at this point.
Right. And look, I mean, Schuster is definitely, I like that signing in the sense of him being the number 2 to Hill. But at this point, between him and Valdez Scantling, I guess if you're working off of financials, Valdez Scantling is the number 1 and Schuster's the number 2. And Travis Kelce, who looked pretty banged up by the end of the year last year. And I mean, don't get me wrong, he had a good game against Buffalo, and he was fine in the playoffs. But the signal to me is that this is going to be turning into more of a running offense. They got a couple of receivers that know how to block. Their line got a little bit better. I think that they want to take a little bit of the pressure off of Mahomes, and the signing of Ronald Jones does that. It's not a sexy signing, but it at least gives them a legitimate running back now.
Yeah.
Gives them a guy that can run power up the middle, which they never had.
Yeah.
And he can catch a football, which I think is one of his underrated skills. Like coming from Tampa, I got to watch him a lot.
Yeah.
He kind of didn't get the touches and the looks that he thought he was going to get when we signed Lenny, and now they brought Lenny back, so it makes sense for what we're doing. But yeah, Rojo's a great player, great addition, and I think we all know how we feel about Edward Hyde's going to clear the fuck his name is. He's useless.
You were close. I think you got all the names. I just don't think they're in the right order.
Yeah. But yeah, like he's on a power back. He's not going to run between the tackles. He got banged up last year, so bringing a guy like that really helps them out.
Right.
But yeah, like kind of what we talked about before, like we were talking about little pop passes in Miami. They can do it all day. That's literally what they do in Kansas City all the time.
Right.
I bet you Tyreek Hill had 25 catches just doing that last year. Do they have somebody now that can do that? Because you can't teach Tyreek Hill's speed. That's the one thing he has. You can't teach that. And when he gets an open field, he's a dangerous man, especially one-on-one against a DB out of the backfield.
Yeah.
Are you going to be able to find someone to do those things? I mean, those are confident. That's in that Patrick Mahomes doesn't have confidence. But when you're having a bad start to a game, you hit a couple of those and let your guys make a play. They don't have that guy anymore. They can't throw the quick screen and expect Schuster or Scantling to make that play that Tyreek would make. On 3rd and 8, you're running a screen. You're putting Tyreek Hill one-on-one with the corner and expecting him to make a miss. I'm not asking those two guys to do the exact same thing.
Yeah, and for sure, and this goes to show the business of football, and the business of football is, hey, Patrick Mahomes took a team-friendly deal. Like, well, actually, he counts against $45 million in the cap this year, and I think it's 55 next year. So, was it that Tyreek Hill wanted out, or they couldn't pay Tyreek Hill a raise on top of what Devontae Adams was making, which was essentially what he was asking for? He ended up getting about $28 million. But this is the avenue you have to go. You have to, we still haven't seen if it was true, but what you were saying about Schuster's contract, Kalen, that makes a lot of sense. If you can hide $7 million and get a guy of that caliber, makes a lot of sense. And I don't believe that a guy like Tyreek Hill, smaller guy, could get hurt. They weren't in a position to give him an incentive-based contract, and they couldn't do something like that. So, there you go, $20 million, and now you go to Miami. And look, is it good for the NFL if there's playoff games in Miami? Probably good for ratings. I don't think anybody loves to watch a blizzard in the playoffs.
Yeah. And, I mean, and they still do have Mecole Hardman, who's in the contract year. I mean, he'll probably just take that Tyreek Hill type role because he's still a friggin' burner. He's a great receiver coming out of Georgia. He had a decent year last year and certainly was able to prove himself. And I think that kind of made it a little bit easier to move on and still have him there, especially again being a contract year. We know these players are historically going to go off in those years, right?
Absolutely, and it makes sense. And well, we'll talk about the next thing, which it seems like a guy that no matter what he does, there is no market for Baker Mayfield. So what the fuck did the Cleveland Browns do at this point? It doesn't appear he's going to show up to camp. You can't cut him because you have to eat all $18 million of that salary. It doesn't appear that there's a trade option out there for him. I don't know, man. What am I missing?
What I think is so funny about this whole thing, they're the team that took on the Brock Osweiler deal, right? And I
believe so.
And they were arrogant enough in that Brock Osweiler deal to get a trade out of it, a trade or draft pick back to them in that deal, paying them to take it. And now it's like they're astonished that they're having to be asked potentially to have to pay somebody else to take on Baker's $20 million guaranteed contract. Like, you're the team that did this. You're the one who set the standard for this years ago. Now you're going to have to do it yourself, and you're shocked. You're shocked that your former franchise quarterback wants out after bluffing this or screwing this whole Deshaun Watson thing up. It's astounding.
Yeah. And apparently they want a first-round pick back for him.
Which is what? Yeah, if you're going to give me 2 firsts back, maybe.
Yeah, honestly, it doesn't make any sense. Like, there's no such thing as a non-Cleveland Browns. Like, this is the Cleveland Browns move of all time. And
now, hold on. Before we go too far here.
Of course, Oklahoma's chiming in here, but go ahead, Galen.
Before we go too far. Now, the only other team that has been linked to him is Seattle in the NFC. And multiple reporters, including, I'm pretty sure it was Tom Pelissari, I can't say his last name right or wrong, but, pretty good NFL insider that said that the Steelers would be the number 1 team to watch if he got cut. So I want it on record right now that if Baker Mayfield gets cut and he becomes a Pittsburgh Steeler, is your viewpoint going to change on this man, or is he still just a big old bum?
I can tell you with all the certainty that I have as a Steelers fan, that motherfucker, the only way he's wearing black and gold is if he buys a ticket. This guy is going to get the Kanye West treatment in Big Brother, and Jay-Z's got a concert. Colleen said he could buy 2 tickets. That's all he's got. That's the only way he's getting into Heinz Field with a black and yellow jersey on.
So we know how you feel. So hopefully he doesn't become a Steeler and get about 9 wins in a season.
No, Trubisky is the quarterback.
Trubisky.
And
that's what we're going with? Trubisky doesn't work, but Trubisky or whatever you just said.
You know what? I like to be original. I like to make up my own way. Trubisky will be the way to go because he's going to warm us up on a nice cold day. It's like a little bisque. But they're also going to draft a quarterback, and, we'll get to the draft stuff because, we are only about a month away from the draft.
The best time of the year.
Yeah, no, because we're talking quarterbacks, we don't have to move completely away from Baker, but there's another quarterback.
I know, I didn't get to talk.
All right, I'm going to throw you Jimmy G on this too, because apparently he's getting ready to get himself cut. So maybe we can get a double feature from Chad.
Sorry, I'm just replying to a comment here. I don't know if you call Baker a motherfucker. So, yes, you heard that correct.
Yeah, absolutely, no doubt about it. Well, Chad's replying to his thing. Kalen, did you get on the All Dogs parlay today?
The All Dogs part? No, I did not. What was that?
Oh, that's okay. We'll get to it. Chad's ready.
Yeah, I'm ready now. Yeah, I know, Jimmy. I still think he's the hot ticket. But you put him and Baker beside each other, I think it shows how far Baker has fallen.
I think Baker's wife would choose Jimmy.
He's a pretty handsome man.
Yeah, best looking guy in football.
That being said, I don't think there's a huge market for Jimmy. I think there still is. I think Seattle's really the only place that's really left to go looking for a quarterback. Yeah, I think everybody knows how high I was on Baker last year, and he literally just told me I was fucking stupid and made me look like an idiot. So, not a huge fan of him anymore. I still put him ahead of Danny Dimes, though, just to piss off Kalen. Yeah, as far as Jimmy goes, it's just, I think Seattle's the only real landing spot for him. But are they going to put him in division? Like, Houston needs a quarterback, but I think they're going to ride with Davis Mills or draft one.
Yeah, seems like that's the way. And
like, out of those two guys, I don't see any of them being I think Jimmy's an upgrade, obviously, from.
Oh shit! I think Kelly wants to fight us at WrestleMania.
She's really cheering on Baker, eh? I mean,
That's
I love
okay.
Vince Young, but
he's an Oklahoma boy.
You know what? I respect her opinion because she's being loyal. I love that.
Well, I mean, I love Texas, but I understand that Colt McCoy is not the thing in the NFL, and Vince Young flamed out of the NFL, and Sam Ellinger is probably going to flame out of the NFL.
Sounds like a Texas quarterback problem.
Man, Sam Ellinger's fire hasn't even been lit yet, so don't tell me he's going to flame out.
Well, he's behind a Hall of Fame quarterback. He's not going to start for a few years, if at all.
Who's the Hall of Fame? Don't tell me Matt Ryan's a Hall of Fame quarterback. Chad, you have your fair time. Do not let Kalen tell you that Matt Ryan is a Hall of Fame quarterback, because this show is going to go for 5 fucking hours if we do.
Yeah, I mean, there's a stop.
Yeah.
If that motherfucker gets in before Rondé Barber, that's all I will say.
Yeah.
I won't let you back up from fucking Lake Erie.
Yeah, Matt Ryan's a Hall of Fame quarterback the same way Ryan Tannehill is a Hall of Fame quarterback.
Man, you can say what you want, but he's going to make it in. I don't know what you guys are saying.
No, he won't.
No, he'll be outvoted 28-3.
Yeah, yeah. If he wins the next 3 Super Bowls, maybe we'll give him an opportunity. But yeah, the guy hasn't won shit, and over the last 3 years, he hasn't been shit. But anyway,
Yeah, back to Davis Mills in Carolina and Seattle. To me, it makes more sense if I'm any of those teams to draft somebody.
You say Davis Mills?
well, Davis Mills is on the board right now. We're talking about him in Houston.
Houston.
Oh, okay.
Like, I think out of those guys, like none of those guys are taking their franchise to the next level. So to me, it's like, am I drafting somebody? Out of the 2 guys that are available, Jimmy and Baker, Jimmy makes sense with a better Band-Aid. That's what he's done his whole career. He knows who he is. He knows what he is. Bring him in on a 2-year deal. Then you're going to draft someone either this year, later, and next year in the draft. And for those teams, it makes the most sense. I think Jimmy's the guy, but I'm not giving up more than a 3 for him.
I'm just laughing at Kelly. Someone needs to respond to her. Because
So I guess I'm gonna have to beat and it sucks because it's inside the
She's
division.
hilarious. She's hilarious, by the way.
This is why women can't be GMs. They think Baker's the guy.
That's not the viewpoint of Going for 2. That is the viewpoint of Chad Stewart, and I'll give you his address if you DM me later. Yeah. 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 No. Kelly's hilarious.
But I'm gonna have to be the one banging the drum all season long again about Davis Mills, eh? That's how it's gonna go down.
Well,
I don't think he's a bad quarterback. I'm just saying I'm not building my franchise around him.
He's probably going to be their starter for 17 games unless he gets his head ripped off this year.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I think he's gonna show some things, man. That's a team just because of the quarterback situation. I think is going to be a good team. I think he's really, really talented.
We'll point at a comparison probably, and that was Tyler Heineke last year going into the Washington football team season. Everybody wanted him to be the guy. Give him a chance. This year, they literally mortgaged their future for a guy that sucks. And they gave him $30 million to suck. To literally just ignite a rivalry with the Eagles. So hopefully that the Texans don't put themselves in that position. But I mean, if they want to make a really stupid move, I heard there's an average slot receiver that's looking for $20 million a year. You guys hear about this?
Who's that?
I heard it when we came on.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe the number you put on this sheet.
Yeah. So Jarvis Landry is apparently seeking $20 million a year. And when I sent you guys the rundown, I couldn't help myself but to put ha 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 beside it, just to make sure that you guys knew that this was legitimate. What's his real? Like, I honestly thought his market was like $5 million.
I put him in the 13 mil. Like, I think that's a fair number for him.
Shane, you just spent a good 5 minutes there trash talking the quarterback that this guy has had to play with. And we can only be as good as the guy throwing the ball to you sometimes. Yeah. And you saw how bad he was throwing the ball to OBJ and some of the videos that OBJ's dad put out. So if Baker's that bad, I don't think that Jarvis is that bad of a player. I still think like $20 million is an awful lot of money, but the market isn't. If Christian Kirk can get $21 million, I still think that Jarvis Landry is a better wide receiver than Christian Kirk at this point in his career. And I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility for $15 million for that guy. I know 570 yards is a bad year. It's a terrible year.
So he needs to make a choice. Like, does he want to win or does he want to make a whole bunch more money? And I think the guy's been paid a couple of times already. So it's not like he's coming out of his rookie year. Or it's not like he was cut off of his rookie deal. But if you're telling me that you want to make $20 million and go play for, I don't know, Carolina, cool. Or do you want to make $7 million a year and go play for the Packers and have a shot, or, maybe the Colts, or, XXX. Who else is the hot team right now? There's lots of these teams that are building their super teams. Imagine, Jarvis Landry takes a discount, goes wins the Super Bowl and with the Rams, and then take a 1-year deal and then go get your money next year. If you're that guy, that is.
I think if the guy's going to take a pay cut, he's just going to stay right in Cleveland.
I think Baker's going to Dallas. Apparently,
is that what you're reading now?
That's well, I mean, it's being reported out.
No, Dallas is in Houston, or Dallas is in Dallas.
I mean, Dallas, as in Baker and CeeDee Lamb, are going to reunite, from what I hear.
Who's writing that? Is that on TV or is that
this is on our viewership? This is coming straight from Oklahoma though, so they are far closer to the Dallas Cowboys than we are. So I'm going to take her word for it because she's already said enough mean things about us today, and we're gonna have to at least give her one today. So maybe Baker Mayfield goes to Cleveland and Dak Prescott. I'm not sure what happens to him, but I don't know.
The ultimate game manager?
Yeah, I don't know, man. This Jarvis Landry thing, I saw it. It made me laugh. I put it on here. Not that I thought any of you guys would thought 20 million. I am surprised that you guys thought 15 million though.
Well, I thought 13, didn't say that. I thought 13 to 15. I said 13. He's gonna get paid off his. Well, his agent's gonna find his highest value, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
I would not put him in the $20 million range. I don't think any receiver's really worth $20 million.
We got a couple of them are making close to 30.
We'll see what Devontae does with Aaron Rodgers. Let's go there first. If he can do what he did with Aaron Rodgers, then hey, he can have his $28 million. But
that's
guys like him and Tyreek are going to drop off huge, right? So let's see what the actual value is on top receivers.
I agree with Kelly. I think that the Browns should start wearing Nashville Predator jerseys to play their home games. Based on what she's saying. That's not what she said. I paraphrased it just to put it out there. Yeah, I mean, whatever Jarvis gets, I think that he's not going to sign till after the draft, which I also believe is going to drive his price down. It's going to be a 1-year deal. It's going to be something that looks like whatever. It's going to be maybe he takes a Schuster deal. You know, maybe he takes one of those if that's the way that they're able to do it. But moving away from Jarvis getting 20 million, and we'll go to something that actually has proper value, and that's our friends over at Coolbet Canada, because they will give you the best odds. As of next Monday, they're going to be officially licensed in Ontario because sports gambling is becoming officially legal on April the 4th in Ontario. So big news for them. They got a lot of stuff going on. So if you're with their site currently, be patient. They're trying to transition. If you're not, I don't know what you're waiting for. Hit us up. We'll get you the DM code, and we will double your first deposit. Galen, I don't know if you heard, but the New York Jets are out here, and they're trying to find a number 1 receiver, but they'd settle for a number 2 as well. Now they're looking at Deebo Samuel, DK Metcalf, or if they can't get either one of those two guys, they would settle for AJ Brown. So I don't know if you've heard about any of this in Tennessee or what the rumblings are, but how you feeling? What do you want? A first-round pick for him?
I want more than that. For
First and a second? What would you actually... Okay, so what trade would satisfy you from the Jets?
You know the trade that they just got that they were offered to Tyreek, they got turned down for? I'd take that.
I don't know what it was.
It was like their 10th pick, because they have 2 first-round picks and a second.
Okay.
Yeah, I would take that. I mean, if you have 2 firsts and a second, I may have 1 more pick in there, unfortunately. But just because, again, here's the reason why I think AJ doesn't leave Tennessee. We haven't had a good receiver since Tennessee's been a franchise. Derek Mason's probably the best receiver we ever had, and he left us to go to Baltimore, and he was a better receiver there than he was in Tennessee.
What about the guy that didn't stretch out his arm?
Andre Dyson?
Was that him?
Or Kevin Dyson, sorry?
Yeah, Andre Dyson would have scored the touchdown. Kevin Dyson couldn't get there.
Yeah. Stop it. So yeah, haven't had a good receiver since Derek Mason. I think that AJ Brown brings a lot to the team, and he wants to be in Tennessee. Where are these rumors starting from, Shane? Again, we talked about it before we came on, but like it's just a nobody. It was a no.
I read it on the Bleacher Report.
Yeah, and which is so funny because you go back to the beginnings of this whole rumor, and it's a no-name website that put out this idea, and the idea of AJ Brown. The reason that they tacked that on was because back in February, the beginning of February, the GM said they had the Titans. They had preliminary talks, but it hadn't progressed further. So he goes in the article, well, they haven't progressed further, so we could probably jump on that train because now they've set the market and they're not going to be able to afford them. What? Like, come on, man. Like, you're just completely speculating at this point. And then Robinson.
I am absolutely speculating.
Yeah. In the Deebo thing, Jed York came out and said that wasn't going to happen. DK is not leaving Seattle. They're going to trade Tyler Metcalf or Lockett before they trade DK at this point. I mean, he's going to be the highest paid receiver in the NFL, I think, DK is.
Yeah, so there's lots of wild shit that's going on in 2022.
Yeah.
It's the week of the receiver, though. Like, last 3 weeks, been nothing but quarterbacks. Now it's the Rex turn. Mm-hmm. What's next?
Like, if you think that nothing can happen, the Canadian men's soccer team is in the World Cup and Italy isn't.
Anything can happen on that one.
Yeah, and all it's going to take, I honestly think that if they were offered that Jets top 10 pick and maybe a 4th rounder, I think that they would ship AJ Brown out of town. Not because they don't like AJ Brown, but because of what kind of value that pick has with them and the amount of money that they know that they're going to be spending on this guy. And they don't necessarily have the quarterback of the future in place. Like, even if Tannehill, surprises us, and I'm not going to, like, I picked him as the dark horse MVP last year because he had great odds on him. And I also picked Aaron Rodgers. So, I mean, I won. It doesn't really matter. But they don't have their future set. So why would you pay a receiver $30 million if you're not set up at quarterback for the next X amount of time? So maybe you would give up AJ Brown for the 10th pick, and maybe you would use that on a quarterback, and maybe you would do it this year. I don't know. Maybe.
The Elijah Moore being on the Jets team is just fueling more fire to this DK Metcalf and AJ Brown thing, because they're just former college teammates who are still pretty good friends, obviously, right? So
of course,
Jets fans are reaching, man. Hey, listen, I like their team offensively. Like they have a good squad. Elijah Moore's there, Corey Davis being there. They got Tyler Conklin this year. Who was the other? Ricky Seals-Jones from Washington as a tight end. So they got 2 good, decent tight ends there. They got some players, man.
Hey, Chad, check out Kelly's message because I don't know what she means. I don't know how to do that shit.
I don't know, man. Like, all I'm thinking is, like, when it's like this, like, college reunion, I'm going back to Cleveland. I didn't make fun of Kelly on this one, but like, they did that with Odell and Jarvis. It doesn't work out just because they're working in college. It doesn't mean it's not going to work in the NFL. Mm-hmm. I don't care how good a friend you are. At the end of the day, it comes down to dollars and cents, and you're going to pay those guys top dollar when their contract comes up. Elijah Moore is going to want to get paid again, and then what are you do? You're breaking them up all over again. So I don't believe those guys are going to the Jets.
So out of the 3 people, and I agree with Chad, out of the 3 people that I legitimately thought could get traded, was Deebo Samuels. And not because, yeah, hell yeah. I was just looking at the comments. Not that the 49ers don't want to keep him, but at $20 million, $25 million a year that Deebo's going to get, because he is the legitimate hybrid receiver, running back type of guy, I could see him being moved for that, whatever. You want to call it the 10th pick, you want to call it the 15th pick, I don't give a fuck where the Jets are picking. But when I looked at the realistic trades, the 49ers are the team that will give up talent for picks because they know and they trust in their system that they'll be able to get somebody similar than that. And I would view it as, yeah, I mean, you got this guy late in the 2nd round, and great on you for doing it. But if you can get a 1st round pick for him and not give him the $25 million bucks, I think that your franchise long term is going to be financially responsible. You're heading into the Trey Lance era. Maybe Trey Lance's style of play isn't going to match up with what you get from Deebo. You got Ayuk there, you got Jennings there, you got a few other guys there. Kittle's still around. I mean, I don't know. Maybe, yeah.
And you might be staring down potentially an ugly franchise tag thing here. And we've seen this before, if they're a linebacker or if they're a defensive end. We got a wide receiver's played a lot of running back, and a wide receiver franchise tag makes a hell of a lot more money than a running back, right? So Absolutely. If he goes into this year and plays a lot of running back, again, due to injury or just because of scheme, does the team have a now argument? They can say, well, you played running back 65% of your plays or 60% of your plays. So now you're only making $9 million instead of 18.
Well, I think the big thing is, and why I would ship out Deebo, my dad's gonna be pissed if I ever told him this. Because he loves Deebo. He's like his favorite football player right now.
Fuck yeah. He's awesome.
But at the end of the day, I don't want to pay this guy $25 million. The simple fact is, everything runs through him.
Yeah.
Look how much he got banged up this season. He was getting his ankles rolled up on. His knee got rolled up on it. Yeah, he's tough as fuck, and he got by. That's awesome. But that shit takes wear and tear on your body. 2 more years of that at 20, and then I got paid $25 million. You're going to be on the hook for $25 million for the next 3 years after that. And there's a good chance he's not there anyways, or he's not doing the same things. Is he a $25 million receiver, or is he a $25 million football player? Because if he can only do one of those two things, he's not worth that $25 million.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to say he's a $25 million football player, and full disclosure, if the Steelers were looking for him and they gave up their 20th pick this year for him, I would take it in a heartbeat, pay him the money, because like I do believe that he can take your team to the next level. But the 49ers play their own brand of football, and they seem to have that thing where you could plug anybody in. I mean, anytime a running back on the 49ers got hurt, if you looked at the waiver wire, and I mean, we don't really talk a lot of fantasy football in here, but if you look at the waiver wire, the number one pickup was always the next running back, and they generally came through. And that's why the 49ers could move on from Mostert. Jeff Wilson was there. I mean, they had so many different guys at running back, and their scheme just seems to fit. Obviously, the comparison gets drawn from years ago when the Broncos had their system, very similar in running scheme. Didn't matter who you plugged in there. They were the 1,000-yard rusher. And move on, and it probably got Terrell Davis to the Hall of Fame. Not saying he doesn't deserve it, but he only played 6 years in the NFL, and I mean, he did enough to get it. What are you smiling about, Kayla?
Nothing. I'm just letting you talk.
You know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know exactly what I'm saying. So, as far as that goes, last week we talked a little bit about the Patriots bringing in Leonard Fournette. It actually looks like he is now with the Bucs. 3 years, $21 million. Chad said it. I don't know, Chad, if there's a lot of debate behind this or if you want to spend a lot of time on it, but you definitely had this. I just assumed because he was visiting with the Patriots that he would go there. I didn't understand why the Patriots would want him because they seem stacked at running back, but $7 million, I think that's a bargain.
What you're going to get, you're going to get 1,000 yards out of him. You're going to get playoff football out of him. He takes pressure off Tom Brady because he can take abuse. He can take 20 touches a game. He's an all right pass catcher. I wouldn't say he's great, but he's good enough at catching the football. We have other guys that can do that as well. And yeah, so like I told you he was going nowhere. I didn't think anybody. Once Tom came back, I said the whole band's getting back together. It's that simple.
All right. So just for Kelly's sake, apparently Baker Mayfield played with a paper cut last year because he did too many insurance commercials, and it really affected his gameplay and his ability to watch film and his ability to make an accurate throw. Hopefully that satisfies her need.
So on to the Lions getting Hard Knocks.
Yeah. So you know what? Like when the Lions came out, there's like the Lions have two things. So there's two things that came out about the Lions. One, I think that because they got Hard Knocks, nobody's going to watch it. It kind of clears up our September and late August. I can't imagine anybody gives a fuck about what Jared Goff does in training camp.
They're going to pump Calvin Johnson so bad after finally making up with that guy this past year. He is certainly going to be on that show because the only way you're going to have anybody even watching it.
Yeah, and I think Josh misspelled what he just put in there. I think that the Lions are going to run north and try and move to Toronto because they're going to try and save the city of Detroit of another fucking loser. But they are about to make history, and I don't know if you guys heard about this, but for the first time ever, the NFL draft and the team with the number 1 overall pick is going to be the same place, and that's 2024 when the Lions decide to host the draft. They got awarded that today, so that's fantastic
news.
news.
The ticket price for this?
No.
They're already putting nosebleeds up, single tickets for $1,500 American.
Yeah, of course.
Like, could you imagine spending $1,500 to sit up in the nosebleeds to watch your team at the first pick overall and still just fucking be useless?
I wouldn't buy a house in Detroit for $1,500, let alone go to the fucking draft there for that. That being said, we'll probably cross the board for the draft, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. We'll put a
go
tailgate
there.
Yeah.
We will go and tailgate at the draft.
Yeah, I'll go sit at Comerica. I mean, we'll go watch a Tigers game. We'll watch the draft.
What does fucking go live? That was part of fun.
That'll be wild. Well, we'll see how that works out. I mean, like I said, I don't think anyone gives a shit about Detroit, but
data rates do apply.
Yeah.
That's a producer problem.
Yeah. So that is a realistic comment that I did not think about. So I'm glad Caleb's on the team, because if not, we might have had a big ass one. All right. Well, move on to something a little bit more important. This Derek Carr contract situation. I think that the Vegas Raiders kind of thought that they were going to have this stuff. Oh yeah, I see that too. Yeah, it looks like.
Did our data charges just kick in?
I don't know. Maybe big cell phone was watching us, and they're trying to let us know that they run the world. But yeah, so for this Derek Carr contract, I don't know what it looks like. I don't really know what the numbers look like, but Josh McDaniels kind of came out and almost threw the ball into Carr's court, saying like it depends on what kind of deal he wants and how team friendly he wants to make this. Naturally, I think they're going to get this done because Adams is there, but is it that kind of a slam dunk, or are we overlooking this a little bit?
Where else is he going to go? It's, at the end of the day, to me, like he's Vegas through and through. He's going to be a Raider till he's done, I think.
Like, yeah, I mean, the Adams thing going there makes a lot of sense, and
Can you imagine if the Adams comes in, he's like, yeah, fuck it, I'm out.
Yeah. Well,
what is the market for him though? Right? That's the real question. Like, what are we saying, 30 million or 35 million?
Yeah, you would think that he'd be in the $30 million range. Like 35 makes sense, but maybe like after learning about this incentive-based contract, Carr is a guy to tough it out and play through injury.
And he only threw 24 touchdowns, which I know was a normal year for him. But now he's got the players around him, 3 real weapons that he could certainly go 30, 35 touchdowns. Get some of those incentive-laden contracts.
Brian Edwards is still there too, so I think that they're pretty strong. Defensively, they suck.
Do you think he takes a Dak deal, or do you think he takes less than Dak?
I think he's going to take less.
Dak's 37, right?
Yeah, I think he's going to have to take less. He'll probably be in the neighborhood of like 25 to 30. Now, maybe it's a little bit more guaranteed as opposed to like something big up front, but I would imagine he's taking at least 5 years, and maybe, I don't know, 5 years, like 200, and it's fully guaranteed.
It's like he's already got paid. I know that this is a stupid thought to actually think, is that, I'm getting offered millions of dollars. I want a few million more still. But like, you've been on teams, it's just like Baker. You've been on teams that have been bad. Like, why do you want to choke your team, especially in the AFC West, where you've got to be competitive for the next 4 years for sure, and you're just going to do nothing but hurt your team. And he, again, I've been on teams that have been bad, that have went south pretty fast. Not it wasn't his fault that it went that way, unfortunately, offensively, but anything can happen. And if yours is the contract that is holding the team back, who are they going to blame? Why do you want the fans' anger?
The Kansas City's cleaning house now because they can't afford Patrick Mahomes playing by himself in the next few years.
Right. I mean, Kelsey's going to maybe have 2 years left, right? Schuster is on a 1-year deal. Scantling's on a 3-year deal. I mean, they're going to have to be really, really good in the draft to restock in Kansas City. And maybe some of these AFC West teams saw that, and that's why they went for the jugular here. I mean, Kansas City is the outright favorite because of their status over the last 5 years, but maybe it's not that clear cut, and maybe somebody else knows something that we don't. It's going to be interesting to see, and I guess that's why they play the games. The good news is, it seems like every primetime network has figured out their commentary situation, and we got some pretty good pairings. The most recent one, Al Michaels and Kirk Herbstreit. So
stoked, man.
Yeah, and you know what? Like, that guy, like, I'd never really seen a whole lot of him. He was on the Pat McAfee show today. I watched like a couple minutes of it.
You talking about Kirk?
He just seems like a really cool guy.
Yeah, he's the young generation, even though he's not really young, right? But him and Michaels together, pairing together, it's gonna be perfect.
Makes sense, and I love that he's still gonna do the college games, because he definitely makes Saturday football, or the big game on Saturday, a little bit more important. He does college game day. Like, this guy does a ton of work, and good for him for getting out there. But yeah, so we got him and Michaels, and then Tirico and Collinsworth, which is probably the third place team in all of this, and then Buck and Aikman have figured it out for Monday Night Football. So I can't remember the last time we had a good Monday Night Football team. I'm gonna say it was probably involving John Gruden and and Tirico, right?
Yeah. Or you could even, I mean, and those was that actually good because of what they put on during the game, or was it just because of the segments they had during intermissions and stuff? Like I would even go as far back as to go when Michaels and Madden were doing it, might have been the best.
Right, and and you could be completely right about that, but it's nice to have those guys on there. The biggest hole that is still left is obviously the main spot on Fox. I think that people should be picketing in front of the Fox building right now, talking about Gus Johnson.
Yeah. Now, is it the play-by-play they need, or is it the color commentator?
I think they need both, right?
So
like, they both left.
I'm just gonna, and maybe he's already been approached and already said no to this, but why is Rich Eisen not involved? You want a guy that loves football through and through, that the fans love, that would really attract them to watch your show, right? Watch your primetime, right? Rich Eisen is it. And who couldn't handle Rich Eisen for 17 games a year or 18 games a year?
No, and I agree, but he's got a cushy job at the NFL Network, and I would imagine that whatever he's making from the NFL Network for game day morning is going to be equivalent to whatever Fox is willing to pay him for that.
Well, that only leaves me with one more guy then. It's got to be Dan Orlovsky. I half enjoy listening to that guy. He's pretty analytical, and I wouldn't mind him being a play-by-play guy.
So put Gus Johnson with Dan Orlovsky?
I wouldn't mind that at all, man. You got Gus doing the play-by-play, being that energetic guy that we love to hear, with the opposite of Buck, in my opinion. And then you got Orlovsky, who's kind of breaking the game down for you a little bit more, right? And I think that's really, really cool.
I think they're gonna bump up Greg Olsen.
I can't stand him.
I was a huge fan of him last year, and he got kind of sped through the ranks a little bit, getting some better games. And I think he's going to be one of the guys that they're going to go to. And everybody in the media likes him. He does a shit ton of stuff off the field. So it kind of makes sense that he'd be the guy that got bumped into America's Game of the Week.
I don't know. To me, that just makes me feel better that the Steelers games are on CBS.
At the end of the day, I just think Dan Orlovsky. I can't stand that guy. So
yeah,
that's the way I feel about Greg Olsen. I felt like last year, you're right, he did get better and he has been sped up through it. But I feel like he was trying too hard to pay attention to what's going on around him rather than actually injecting his own actual thought process into the game, you know?
As long as I never have to hear Tony Romo's voice, I'm fucking happy. So
yeah. All right. Chad's going to tell us a little bit about the best place to eat on the Grand Bend Strip, and then we're going to get into a little bit of draft picks, and we're going to finish off with a couple of quick points, gentlemen.
So what is better than spending the day at the beach? You're about to walk back to your car, and you see real food chilling on a fucking patio, and you're like, I could definitely have a beer there. That sounds like a good Saturday afternoon to me. That's what our friends at Twisted Hook in Grand Bend are. Right off the strip, walking back to your car, right on the corner, got a big patio back. Sit there, have a couple beers, get some good food, chat with some friends before you head home for the night.
Right. And I'm sure it's a fun place, and we're looking forward to being there as soon as the sun hits. So you will see us there a lot this summer. So make sure you join us. Really quickly, a little quick draft pick rundown. It doesn't really involve a whole lot of debate because it's just the facts. Most picks in this year's draft: the Chiefs and the Jaguars. The fewest picks now: the Dolphins and the Raiders. Naturally, they're the two teams that have made the biggest splash. Most first-round picks are going to the Philadelphia Eagles. They have 3. Most picks in the top 50 are the Jets with 4, which is why they're obviously in the quarterback market. And the fewest picks in the top 100, do you guys know who it is?
The Rams.
The Rams, who have 0.
Which are even shocked. They don't believe in draft picks in LA.
Now, players that will likely end up on the Rams, top free agents that are still unsigned here: Bobby Wagner, Stefan Gilmore, Odell Beckham, Tyrann Mathieu, Julio Jones, Jadeveon Clowney, Calais Campbell, J.C. Trotter, Jarvis Landry, Melvin Jones, and Dwayne Brown. So those are pretty big names out there. I wouldn't imagine any of those guys sign until after the draft because you want to see where you're going and what's going to happen. What's your reaction to those two quick rapid fires?
I think it's crazy how the Eagles have 3 first-round picks and then don't have another one in the top 50.
Yeah.
Well, that makes me believe they're trading out of one of those spots.
You would think so.
Because this draft isn't really like there's no game changers in this draft. The guy you're going to get in the top of the second round, I don't think is much better than in the first round for a lot of depth positions. So I can see them trading out. That'd be the only other thing. And I just think it's comical how the Rams just don't believe in draft picks and they're like, we don't need them. We're just going to do it our way.
Yeah,
and looking at that list, there's tons of guys there they can pick up. The guy right in like the Honey Badger, another guy can just pop and go in there easily. They have to fill Eric Weddle, who came in to play for Rap last year, so it makes sense.
Have a good night, Kelly.
Of those players, I want Stefan Gilmore still. I know you're talking about won't get signed until after the draft. I think you're right. I think these players, a lot of them won't. I think the Honey Badger still gets signed somewhere here in the near future before draft time anyway, because safeties, I mean, outside of that one guy who's like probably the best player in the draft. I can't remember what his name is right now. You know what I'm talking about? Is it Hollis? His name? Yeah.
Which one?
The safety. He's like the best. He's probably going to be the best player in the draft.
Hamilton.
Is it Hamilton? That's it.
Yeah.
It was, yeah.
How dare you get his name wrong?
Yeah, my bad.
I expected nothing less from a fucking Longhorn.
He's gonna go second. He's gonna go second overall.
Yeah, so I think that there's going to be a little bit of hype that kind of gets to that point where, you know, there's going to be teams that they kind of get punch drunk by that type of player. And Matthew's right there kind of waiting in the wings essentially. But I would love to have Gilmore come down to Nashville, that Patriots connection again. It'd be nice.
Yeah, I have a feeling that he ends up back in Carolina, but
I do
not
too.
Like, yeah,
They got no secondary, man.
Yeah, not like any of that stuff matters. The strong belief in Steeler country is that Tyrann Mathieu is going to play free safety for the Steelers beside Minkah Fitzpatrick. I don't buy that, but the Steelers have been different this offseason, so wait and see. Chad, what do you think?
You know how I feel about that. I wanted the Honey Badger back in fucking Tampa years ago. I was heartbroken when he went to the Chiefs.
Yeah, well,
he's like the only guy on this list that like really excites me. Clowney doesn't do nothing for me. Julio Jones is much like to rip on Kalen, like he's past his prime. And outside of Indy, where else is he going to go?
Yeah,
because there's a lot of guys that are like that want him there. I don't see any other team banging the table for him. Calais Campbell, end of his career. Jarvis Landry, I think the only fit for him is actually in Green Bay. It's the only one that makes sense to me. And yeah, it's Odell, same kind with him. I think either he goes back to LA for a really cheap deal. That guy needs some money after last year. He played for pennies. I think all three of us combined probably made more than him.
Jeez. There's the American conversion there, Chad. So
yeah,
we may have by number wise.
Well, yeah, we had the Bitcoin conversion. So
yeah. Tough break though. Tough break. All right. Well, yeah. I mean, football naturally is the thing that we talk the most about. There are some other things going on though. This Saturday is the Final Four. Can you guys believe that this is the first time in NCAA tournament history that Duke is playing North Carolina?
That blew my mind when I heard that this morning.
Yeah.
They're probably the biggest rivalry in college basketball.
And I'm going to tell you, this is probably going to be the biggest game in college basketball history because of what North Carolina did to Krzyzewski in his final home game.
I love
it. They rubbed his face in a bag of shit in front of the entire packed house where the cheapest ticket in the place was $6,000. All of his former players were there, and they just stuck it to him.
So my question is, like, if Duke wins, how long till the Disney movie comes out about this? Like, how they get embarrassed on their home court?
Oh, the script is already written.
Come back and then they win the tournament. Like that's like a Disney Saturday afternoon made for TV movie right there.
Yeah, they are currently the betting favorite to win the NCAA tournament, which, if you've been following the tournament, that means they will lose this weekend because the betting favorite has lost every single fucking game.
So you said it was their first time playing in Final Four history?
No, in NCAA tournament history.
So here, I have a question then. Chad, you said the biggest rivalry in NCAA, and I would agree with you. It is. Now, when somebody hears that, and that's my first time hearing that, Shane, to anybody else, does that dummy or bring down the rivalry a little bit? How the hell can you have a rivalry if it never really makes it doesn't show itself in March Madness?
Well, that's the thing, right? Like they play in the same conference, so they play each other twice a year anyway.
Oh, I agree with you. Now, what means more to you? Showing face or showing up in the March Madness tournament or winning the ACC? What would mean more to you guys?
Well, I mean, the tournament matters to me because the ACC fucking sucks. But
that's it, right?
Yeah. But yeah,
I think because not every team gets to go on in the tournament because it is a one and done. I think conference championships mean more in basketball, I think, to some of those schools than anything else. Because that's what gets you your TV time.
Yeah, I mean, if Florida State won the ACC, it would matter to them. But Duke and North Carolina, they care about the tournament. Those are Duke considers it a down year if they're not winning the tournament or making the Final Four. And I think that it's awesome and it's a crazy storyline that this happened. Nobody could have predicted that this North Carolina team would have gotten this far. But basically, they were shot out of a cannon from the day that they upset Krzyzewski's last home game. And I'm going to ride with them again. Whatever points you're getting from them, just take them and move on because they're playing really, really well right now. Nova's playing Kansas. It's going to be a pretty awesome Final Four, and it's definitely something to look forward to and something to pay attention to. As far as Duke, I mean, I always hate Duke. You guys know that. I'm never going to support Duke. And I didn't even realize this. I actually got this secondhand from reading a report on the Bleacher Report again. I make sure that they get their stuff. The first time in salary cap history in the NHL, a team scored 11 goals, and it was last night. And it was the Penguins and the Red Wings. But the salary cap came into play in 2003. Kalen, does that surprise you? I know you're a big hockey guy.
Yeah, I honestly thought there have been other couple double-digit games that would have been up there. I feel like Edmonton maybe have done it at some point, or even Pittsburgh again in the past may have done it at some point. It's crazy that it took that many years, 18 years, right?
Yeah, 19? Chad, 18 years, and this is the first time that someone scored 11 goals. How do you feel?
Did you guys play hockey growing up?
I think it's just like glitching over here. Yeah, I mean, yeah, go ahead, Chad.
So, I played hockey for, 16 years. I think I only saw double-digit goals twice. And both times I was in the losing end. I will be very clear with that.
Were you in goalie?
No, but the very first time was the first game I ever got kicked out. I'll tell you that much. I definitely cross-checked the guy collarbone into a goalpost.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm a classy guy like that. Everybody knows how good of a loser I am.
I love it.
But yeah, no. But so am I surprised that 11 goals is scored it's the first time? Actually, no. Because in the NHL, you're supposed to be good at hockey, is what people tell me. And scoring double-digit goals is kind of bush league. Usually, you kind of you pull the chute before that ever gets to that point. So to score that many goals, that's just wild to me. The league. I always just think of the Montreal Canadiens game where Patrick Waugh finally stopped a puck and put his arms up in celebration.
Yeah,
I think that's the last time that I ever even that was definitely the 90s though.
Yeah,
but yeah, no, I'm not. I am very surprised. Or not, I guess I'm not surprised that it's the first time this ever happened.
Well, I just assumed that it would have happened at some point. There's been a lot of bad teams in hockey, and I would not have assumed that this would go against the Red Wings that are supposed to be Hockey Town, but I think the Red Wings are officially dead. And they disrespected their backup goalie. But anyway, it doesn't really matter. 11 goals.
The whole time.
So they pulled their first goalie after 4.
Okay.
And they had to leave the other guy in for the last 7. And
did you go get the guy that drives the Zamboni like what happened to the Leafs?
I'm sure if it was easier to get across the Canadian-U.S. border, that they would have called him, but it's a pain in the ass right now, so I don't think that's something that they wanted to explore.
Every arena is supposed to have an emergency goalie. So, could you imagine you just call this guy? I was like, hey, we got to start saving face, and we can't leave this kid in here no more to die. So, come on in. Yeah,
I mean, the only thing that comes to my mind is, again, we're going to go to a sports movie, Major League, and just keeps throwing down the fastball. Keep shaking off the fastball. That is what the emergency goalie for the Detroit Red Wings was doing yesterday. They're like, yo, you ready to play? Nope. Not interested. Those guys seem like they're on one, so we're not going to do that. Boys, any final thoughts before we roll out here? No?
Man, just crazy week. I think the NFL is just it's just blowing my mind. And I think I just keep telling everybody, I just keep thinking of Stewart on Mad TV. Like, look what I can do. Like, that's literally what the NFL is right now.
Yeah, and it's probably going to be quiet for the next couple of weeks while everyone gets ready for drafts and whatnot. And I mean, if I'm going to throw a prediction out here right now, I'm going to say that at least 4, but 5 quarterbacks are taking in the first round. That's where
4.5.
Yeah, if the over under was 4.5, I think that the odds would be good enough for me to take the over 4.5 there, and we'll just see how it goes. And obviously, make sure that you're checking out Josh crushing our TikTok. Kalen is absolutely destroying the Twitch. I saw him the other day. You had a few people watching your game, and I didn't recognize any of those names, so we appreciate anybody supporting that. Instagram, Facebook. We got the Morning Brew. I know Chad's got some stuff in mind too. And our subscribers on YouTube have officially crossed over 3 digits, boys. So big deal. Cheers. We will catch